The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
So hello and welcome to another episode of the Star Sport podcast. I'm your host Matthew Hardy. I'm joined today as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. The Star Sport podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, where your bank really does matter. Choose Credit Union, choose local, choose community. Now, this week we will be concentrating on the Carbery Under-21 football finals that will happen this weekend with some interviews from players and personnel involved. But first, we'll be switching to the senior grade. There was round 2 action in the Cork senior football, intermediate football championships over the last week, and there were some interesting stories involving West Cork sides. We'll start off with the Premier Senior Football Championship, and starting off on a more positive note for West Cork sides, Castlehaven and Newcestown both won their games, progressing to the quarterfinals with a game to spare. Castlehaven really made light work of Valley Rovers. They beat them 222 to 112, while Newcestown beat Mallow 19 points to 113. Impressive results considering Newcestown going down the home stretch were 113 to 14 points down, and of course they were playing a side that reached the semi-finals of the Premier Senior Football Championship last year. So Kieran, both sides are through to the quarterfinals now, and that game in Rossmore in the round 3 game between Castlehaven and Newcestown is nothing more than who wants to top the group, really.
Yeah, I think when the draw was made first, if you offered both teams, Haven and Newcestown, and said when you're meeting Rossmore on September 14th that the winner probably go directly through to semi-final, but that both will already be through to the knockout stages with a game to spare, both would have taken that. Looking at Haven first, they're just so consistent, Matthew, when it comes to the group stage of the Premier Senior Football Championship. This is, I think, the 5th year since that this format of the championship was brought in, and every year Castlehaven have got out of the group. I was working out there that they've played 14 games in the group stages. They've won 12, drawn 1, and only lost 1, and the last was to Nemo back in 2022. So Castlehaven are so impressive in terms of they just get the job done. You know, kind of that consistency is one of the hallmarks of this team, and it's why they are chasing 3 in a row. But again, last weekend against Valleys, they got the job done, and in some style. Our reporter there, Tom Lyons, was really impressed with Haven, especially in that first half. So it augurs well for Haven going forward. Newcestown, it's just brilliant, you know, and it's just a remarkable club. It really is. In terms of, if you look at still alive in the Premier Senior Hurling Championship, have qualified for the knockout stages of the Premier Senior Football Championship with a game to spare. Even looking at their Camogie side for a second, Newcestown played their first game in the Premier Intermediate Camogie Championship last weekend against Watergrass Hill, and they won that by 3 points as well. So it just is a really remarkable club. This is a super win for Newcestown against Mallow. David Buckley, we need John Cleary to give him a run, don't we, in next year's league, just to see how good he can be. I think he got 11 points the last night against Mallow, so that's 23 points in 2 games. I know obviously David Buckley has been involved with the Cork senior panel, but when you're putting up scores like that, Matthew, at the Premier Senior grade, it would be great to see what David can do given a run with the Cork senior team.
Exactly, and he got 6 2-pointers as well. And when you consider the whole team, Newcestown, they have the most 2-pointers out of all the Premier Senior Championship teams so far in the campaign, with 7. Well, 6 of them were by Buckley, 1 of them by Luke Meade. But he's been absolutely brilliant in this championship. And even if you add the college and divisional sides like Duhallow, Carbery, all them, Buckley is still the top scorer overall in the Premier Senior Football Championship with 23 points. So that's probably evidence for John Cleary to give him a run more than anything as well. And Mark Cronin, to be fair, is doing very well for Nemo as well. But Where could Buckley fit in with Cork just before we move on from this? Because like 23 points in 2 games is a marvellous record. 12 points in the first game against Valleys, 11, as you mentioned, against Mallow. Now, these are crazy numbers, but where do you actually fit him in the Cork team?
That's why John Cleary and his management team are paid the big bucks, pardon the pun. But no, that's obviously for them to look at. But when you're looking at Matthew, like you said, he's got 6 2-pointers. And we've seen how important 2-pointers have become in Gaelic football. And I presume they're going to become more and more important as teams get more used to these new rules. And they'll, we obviously saw with Kerry in the All-Ireland final and Kerry in the latter stages of the All-Ireland Championship, how they were kind of setting up to pick off 2-pointers. So to have a player like a David Buckley who can do that, and I know the likes of Brian O'Driscoll was very kind of proficient at that too throughout the year. It could add just another string to the bow for the Cork senior football team. Obviously, form and fitness dependent. David Buckley. It just would. I think it's kind of going into next year's league. If he just keeps up this form, he's just knocking at the door, And it's good for John Cleary to have these options looking towards next year.
Exactly, and looking at the lower end of the Premier Senior Championship, this is the bad news for West Cork sides. Clonakilty and Carbery Rangers are essentially in round 3 involved in a relegation semi-final, because whoever loses that game in Bantry in round 3 will be in the relegation playoff, definitely. That's because Clonakilty lost their round 2 game 3-13 to 1-13 against Carrigaline and Bandon. And then in the second of the doubleheader, Carbery Rangers lost narrowly to St. Finbarr's 110 to 11 points, when competing very well, to be fair to them. At the start of the year, Kieran, did you expect both of them to be in an essential relegation semi-final?
Short answer, no. I didn't see this coming at all. I know Carbery Rangers were in the relegation playoff last year, and they sidestepped the trap door. It was Éire Óg that went down, but they would have been kind of very determined not to get stuck in another fight for survival at this level. And then Clonakilty is a really big surprise, to be quite honest. Obviously, they won Division 2 of the County League last year, came up into Division 1, went really, really well, got into the final against the Bars. And before ball was kicked in this year's Premier Senior Football Championship, Clonakilty would have been one of the teams that people would have tipped or would have thought could break the kind of the stranglehold of the top 3 of Haven, Nemo and the Bars. You just felt that Clonakilty, if they could take that next step, because when you go back a couple of years ago, where Clann got the county final against the Bars, so they have a lot of pedigree in the team. Obviously, they got Darragh O'Shea back in this year. A lot of kind of experience throughout that team, from Mark White and goal, you've Sean White, you've Thomas Clancy, the likes of David Lowney, all these really, really good kind of club footballers. So it's been really surprising to see them struggle so badly. And like you said there, Matthew, whoever loses Ross and Clann, if it is to be if there is to be a loser here, like obviously there could be a draw too, whoever loses will be in the relegation playoff, which is going to be extremely disappointing for both teams. Currently, Clonakilty pop up Group 2. They have a scoring difference of -7, whereas Carbery Rangers have a scoring difference of -3. So if the game in a couple of weeks' time finishes a draw, that means Clonakilty will be bottom of the group. And then you're almost dependent on what happens down in Group 3, where at the moment you've Ballincollig and St. Michael's on a point apiece. So there's a lot of different permutations going into the final round. But whereas at the start of the championship, Ross and Clann would have been hoping that this game in Ballincollig would be decisive in terms of who will qualify for the knockout stages. Both teams now are fighting for survival. So it's going to be a West Cork derby with a difference, because there's a lot riding in this, but not what the teams wanted.
Exactly. So we're moving down to the Senior A Championship, and 2 West Cork teams in the same group again, and 2 West Cork teams in the bottom half of Group 3 in this one as well. But a bit of a different scenario here compared to Clonakilty and Carbery Rangers. So Donovan Rossa have a point on the board at least. Dohenys have 0, but both sides lost over the weekend. Dohenys falling to Ahán 2-14 to 1-14, and Donovan Rossa failing to beat Bishopstown. They lost that game 2-13 to 1-13 in Bantry. So look at that. Like, Donovan Rossa still have a chance of making it out of the group. They need a 6-point turnaround to go in their favour over Ahán, and obviously the Ballingeary club to lose to Bishopstown in the last game. Obviously, for that all to happen, Donovan Rossa have to beat their rivals Dohenys in the last game. For Dohenys, though, Kieran, they're out of the championship now, and if they don't get at least a point against Skibbereen in the final game, they are definitely in the relegation playoff.
Yeah, I think looking at Downey's first, this will be really disappointing for Declan Dwars. I mean, since the new format for the championships were introduced back in 2021, Downey's have qualified for the knockout stage of the Senior A every year, apart from this year. Like you say, they currently prop up Group 3, 2 games, 2 defeats. They have a score difference of -5, and they're one of 2 teams across the 3 groups on no points. For mine, Group 2 being the other. Because if you're looking up at the top group or Group 1, Kentorkera, Oak, Kilshannig and Newmarket all have 2 points each. So like you said there, Matthew, Downey's now going into this game against Skibbereen in a couple of weeks' time that they have to win. If they lose that game, they're going to be in a relegation playoff, which is, I don't think many would have envisaged that before a ball was kicked. Whereas for Skib, they still have a fighting chance of getting out of Group 3. It's kind of out of their hands in one sense. Like, they can focus on their job, and their initial job is to beat Downey's, and to try and beat Downey's pretty well. Like you said, Matthew, there needs to be kind of a 6 point swing. So that's all Skibbereen, like, it's control the controllables. All Skib can do now is go out and try and beat Downey's, and then hope that Bishopstown, who in fairness they've been quite impressive so far, that Bishopstown can do Skib a favour when they play Ballingeary. You're at that game over the weekend, Skib and Bishopstown. What did you make of the Skib performance?
I thought Skip were decent enough at times. They were ahead at half time, 9 points to 2-2, and at stages like the likes of Kevin O'Donovan or Kevin Davis, excuse me, played very, very well for O'Donovan Rossa. And then around the back, I think Frank Hurley did very well as well. Just Bishopstown were just the better team throughout the whole game. Like, they had some brilliant forwards in there. Simon Collins getting a goal. Bill Cahill was really involved in some great play for the City Club as well. Oran Foley from wing back. But the game was really in the melting pot until one 18-year-old came on, Gary Hollins. He scored 6 points from play in just under 22 minutes, which was outstanding from his point of view. So, like, Skib, like, they didn't score, like, an amazing stat actually. Skib last scored in the second half. Their last point in the second half was the 38th minute. The 38th minute when Gary Hollins actually came on for Bishopstown, and he took over the game completely after that. After that substitution, Skibbereen only scored one goal from a penalty, and that was Dylan Horan's strike in additional time. So, like, Skib really, really struggled in the last few minutes. But look, they have to take it on the chin. Bishopstown are a very, very good side. I think they could realistically beat Downey's. Looking at Downey's form, obviously, Skib's form, obviously, they did very well against Ballingeary in the last game without getting over the line. And I was speaking to Gene Howard afterwards. He was still, yes, disappointed with the result, but still quite positive. It's still in their own hands in a way. They still have to do their job against Downey's, and he realises that too. So we will see how it all plays out in that group as well, between Skib and Downey's in the last game. In the Premier Intermediate Football Championship, bit of mixed results for the West Cork sides over the weekend. Bantry lost their second game in Group 1. They lost 6 goals and 8 points to 117 against Ahán. That would seem like a really good goal fest there. Another goal fest was Castlehaven Bear losing in Group 3. They lost 5-11 to 5 points against Eve Lair, where Chris Oak-Jones put on a masterclass. Bandon got a draw in the end against Rockchapel, 1-12 apiece. It's all still to play for the West Cork sides there. Castlehaven Bear still in a very good position. They're still in second place with 2 points. Eve Lair are on 4 points over the hills, obviously, but Macroom and Kishgame are on a point each. So Castlehaven Bear, if they do their job, they're into the next round. But for Bandon and Bantry here, they're still in a tricky enough situation. They need results to go their way, number one, and number two, to do the jobs themselves.
Yeah, looking at Group 1 first, Bantry Blues, like you said, Matthew, they're on no points after 2 games, score difference of -11. I think they're looking here, their last game is against Nima Rangers on September 13th in Rosscarbery, and this is a must not lose game for Bantry. In fact, if you're looking at the different groups, like Bantry need to win this game. They really do. Bantry are the only team in the Premier Intermediate Championship with 0 points after 2 games. So again, much like we're talking about the likes of Dohenys and Ross and Clonakilty, if Bantry don't get a result in their last game, they're looking at a relegation a relegation playoff. When you only go back a few short years ago, and Bantry were at the business end of this in county final. So it's been disappointing for a disappointing campaign for so far for Bantry Blues. I'm going to jump down a second to Group 3 at the moment. Like you said there, Castlehaven are second in that group behind Ivlera. So Castlehaven have a chance going into their final game against Kishgame. They have their fate in their own hands as such. They know that they need to get a result. But just a quick word on Ivlera, Matthew. They're going pretty well at the moment. Like they're a formidable team. And if you're looking at the three top teams from the three different groups, they're all mid-Cork teams. Ivlera, Nevabawn, and Bullock. So it's just it's a good indication of the quality of football in Musgrave at the moment. And looking at Bandon in Group 2, so Nevabawn lead the way in 4 points. We've Glenmire second on 2 points. Then we've Bandon and Rock Chapel both on a point apiece. And Bandon will go into their final game against Nevabawn, knowing that they have to win that game, while hoping that the results in the other groups will the other group will help them. They need Rock Chapel to beat Glenmire, but not by too much either. Maybe it might help Bandon and Nevabawn have already qualified for the knockout stage, but then I'm sure Nevabawn want to go directly through to the semi-final. So there's a bit of work for Bandon to do. So I suppose the outlook isn't looking too great for some of the West Cork teams. Though Castletown Bear, they'll hope that they get the result that they need just to stay alive in the championship.
Talked about the Premier Intermediate that it isn't looking too good for the West Cork teams. It's looking really, really well for the West Cork teams in the Intermediate A grade. Adrigole are already through to the next round after their win over St. Finbarr's second team, 2-13 to 1-8. That's 2 wins from 2 for the Bear Club, and they are straight through to the knockout stages. And they're Balnor on 3 points. They're on 4 points at the top of the table. Glanworth on 1, but they are through to the next round, Adrigole, so well done to them. And then again to Gabriels and to Ilen Rovers. Gabriels drew at the weekend 1-15 apiece against Kildare because of a last-minute goal from Kildare, and Ilen Rovers drew against Kilmurray 1-14 apiece in Rossmore as well. 2 draws there for the West Cork sides, but Gabriels are still top of the table in Group 2 with 3 points on the board. Kildare on 3 points, Mitchelstown are on 2 points, and Drumtariff on 0. Gabriels are going in a very strong position into round 3, considering Drumtariff are on 0 points, and that's who they will face in the final round. Similarly with Ilen, they face St. Vincent's in the final game, and again St. Vincent's have 0 points on the board as well in Group 3. Kilmurray are top there on points difference at the moment with 3 points. Have 17 points difference. Ilen has 3 points difference. With 3 points in second place, and Borgwee has 2 points in third place. So they're going really well, the West Cork teams there, Ilen, Gabriels and Adrigole. Yeah,
it's been probably the best grade for the best level for West Cork teams so far. Like you said, Adrigole already safely into the knockout stage with 1 game to spare. So job done there for Tim O'Sullivan and Adrigole. Gabriels as well, like quite a good position on 3 points going into their final game against Drumtariff, who will be battling to avoid a relegation playoff, but you'd fancy Gabriels to get the job done there. So that should be a second West Cork team into the knockout stage. And then Ilen Rovers, I think they did really well to get a draw against Kilmurray. And I know I'll ask you in a second match about this because you were at this game, but when you consider Ilen's story over the last couple of years and how they've fallen down through the grades, I think this is such an important year for Ilen Rovers just to find that bit of stability, and they're certainly doing that. To beat Borgwee in the first game, didn't get a draw against Kilmurray. So Ilen know going into the last game against St. Vincent's that if they can get a win there, that they're going to get through to the knockout stage. So they're in control of their own destiny, which is a super position to be after 2 rounds of the championship. And just on that Ilen Kilmurray game, what impressed you about this Ilen performance?
In more ways than one, I'd say their tenacity in defence and attack and everything around the middle as well. Like I noticed, particularly in the first half, every turnover that Ilen got was celebrated like a score, which is a good sign of a team that they are enjoying their defensive capabilities. Like none more so epitomised. Like I think at one stage, Kilmurray dropped the ball short, and the fullback Jack Collins got at the end of it, and he almost frontal charged the Kilmurray player, obviously fairly and squarely out of the way. And he was getting out of the defence, and he was He was my standout player for Ireland. I thought he was outstanding from full back. Dan McKeown's come back into the team, which is a massive boost to them as well. And their overall play, Sean Connolly, who I think is still a young player, around 18, 19, 20 years of age. Very good performance from centre forward. Dermot Haggerty, Paddy O'Driscoll. They had some very good displays, Ireland, in fairness. And considering they are missing Peter O'Driscoll because of an ACL injury, they are performing really, really well at this present moment in time. And they could have won this game. I think the key score in drawing this was Kilmurray getting the goal in the second half, around the last quarter of play, when Sean O'Leary cracked the ball into the back of the net. But ultimately, I think the draw was a fair result. Kilmurray probably had more shots, but Ireland were more efficient, and they were more, obviously, they put in a lot of shoulders, and they were very, very tenacious in their play. So I think that was probably a fair result. And I think Ireland, they look like they're genuinely enjoying their football right now, which is a positive for them, considering the fall that they have had over the last few years. And ultimately, that could be a good thing for the Baltimore club in rising up through the ranks once again. And hopefully this will be the catalyst for doing so well in the intermediate A grade. Moving on to the Premier Junior grade, and Oran got a win as well over the weekend, bouncing back really well after their heavy defeat to Clonakilty in the first round. They beat Ballydesmond 118 to 212. They're currently in third position at the moment in Group 1 in the Premier Junior Championship, with Clonakilty also on 2 points, Oran on 2 points, St. Nick's on 3 points after they beat Clonakilty over the weekend, Ballydesmond on 1. So it's still very much in their hands in a way for Oran. They have to win the last game, but considering the defeat they took in the first game out to Clonakilty, that's a really good way to rebound against Ballydesmond.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And Oran are going into their last game. They're playing St. Nick's and Dunmanway on Friday, September 12th. And Oran know that if they beat St. Nick's, they'll obviously leapfrog St. Nick's in the table, and they'll get through to the knockout stage. So I think Oran, like you said, Matthew, they'll be pretty happy that they kind of rebounded from their opening game. So they know what they need to do going into that final game. And I think that's when you look at some other clubs going up along, where they kind of their fate is out of their own hands. Like, they might get the result that they need, but other results could go against them. I think like Oran know what they need to do. So it's effectively it's a knockout game. That Oran Nicks is a knockout game to progress through to the knockout stages. So I think Oran will be pretty happy to be in this position going into the last round, and it'll be super to see the Bear men just keep advancing in this competition.
Exactly so, and we'll have to see what happens with Oran in the next few weeks in the Premier Junior grade. We'll take a quick break now, and after the break we'll be discussing the Carbery Under-21 finals.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
So welcome back to the podcast, and in a while we'll be hearing from the players and personnel for the Carbery Under-21 finalists in the A, B and C grade. So this weekend there is a lot of action in Under-21 finals in Carbery this weekend. So on Friday is the Under-21A final in Dunmanway between Ibane Gaels and Bantry Blues at 7:45. Obviously Ibane is an amalgamation of Carbery Rangers and Barry Rowe. In the B final, that's on Saturday, that's in Dribblee between Ahán Gaels and St. Colums. That's on at 6:30 p.m. Ahán Gaels are also an amalgamation of Ilen Rovers and St. Mary's. And then in the C final, that's on Sunday between Ilen Rovers and nGael. This is on in Skibbereen at 3:30. So a lot of finals to look forward to Kieran, in a way. So 3 very good games to look forward to, and 6 good teams to look forward to seeing as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, kind of just the way that it's worked out this year, that we have these 3 West Cork Under-21 finals played over one weekend in August. If you go back to the start of the year, there was 3 Sundays in February kind of shoehorned or kind of cordoned off for the Under-21 divisional championships to be played, but one weekend was totally postponed because of bad weather. And when the Carbery board went to the county board looking for a 1-week extension to finish the competitions, the county board turned down Carbery's request. So then Carbery identified 2 weekends in August to finish the 3 competitions, which is Under-21 A, B and C. So how it works out in one sense, Matthew, is that we're now getting a glimpse of what it's like to when the Under-21 football was played, with the pitches a bit harder, the weather a bit better, and the evenings a bit longer. We saw a couple of weeks ago there was a few semi-finals at the different grades, and there were some super matches there. And let's hope, touch wood, that the weather plays ball this weekend, and we'll get good weather across the weekend for these 3 games. The just last week, the Carbery board also organised kind of a media evening at Ballinaccarriga, where they had representatives from all the 6 finalists, and whether it was captains and managers and so on. So there was a photo shoot and interviews. So just want to say kind of kudos to the Carbery J board for that, because what it was doing, it was giving the under-21 football a platform, kind of getting it back under the spotlight and getting a bit of attention on it, which it deserves, because the last couple of years we've seen the under-21 football championships played in November, December. Seen them played off in February, almost like a box ticking exercise in some senses. And just let's get these competitions done, played, and that's a box ticked. Kind of like we even saw last year where we saw the under-21 championships divisional played early in the year. Then clubs had to wait 7, 8, 9 months to go out in the county, which is crazy stuff in one sense. Kind of, I think it's so. The hope is that the powers that be will treat these under-21 competitions with the importance that they deserve to be treated with. I remember when I started in the Star, just 13 years ago now, how big the under-21A football was in West Cork, kind of how the crowds at the finals and stuff. It was just such a big occasion. And I think we've lost a bit of that over the last couple of years, because there's been no kind of set home for under-21 football. It's just, like I said earlier, it feels like it's become a box ticking exercise, which should not be the way. It's such an important grade for these young players, because you can only play under-21 football for a couple of years, and after that you're obviously not eligible, you're too old, and those days are gone. So I think the under-21 football deserves to be treated properly, and it's just nice to see that these players have had the chance to kind of shine under this kind of summer sun this year, and I'm just hopeful that we get 3 good games this weekend.
Exactly. So, and we will hear from the players and personnel now in the 6 chats that Kieran conducted with the players and personnel, starting off with Bantry Blues captain Paddy Cronin.
Joined now by Bantry Blue captain Paddy Cronin to look forward to the Carbery under-21A football final. Obviously Bantry won last year. That was a big moment. What are your own recollections of the final last year, Paddy?
Very good. We've been on a good run now for the last 2 years. First we won the under-21B over in Ibane Gaels, and that was a great start for us. So then we drove it on again for the next year. We kind of wanted to win to back it up, because A is a different story to the B, and sure. That day then we went out against Ibane. Sure, we had an unreal first half. We were up 10 or 11 points at half time, flying it, and we got the win in the end. We were absolutely delighted by it. We did. Just want to go again now this year.
How big a goal is it for you to back up winning it last year? Like you said, you went straight from winning the B to winning the A, and now you're back in the A final again. Would it mean an awful lot to win back-to-back A titles?
That would be the main aim. That's the main thing. 2 A's would be an unbelievable achievement there. Just even for the town, it's a good achievement to get. So that's all our aim has been this year. Obviously with the intermediate team as well, we've been driving on, but we want to get the back-to-back A's.
Talk to us about your journey so far this year. I know it's been a bit fragmented kind of back in February and the recent semi-final win against Castlehaven, so talk to us a small bit about the journey.
Yeah, sure, we beat Carbery in February. Sure, we were going to all roll up then for the final or the semi-final. Sure, then it was put off, which was kind of had to happen, but to be honest, we're kind of delighted. It's not this time of year, the weather, the pitches, everything is a lot better, and everyone's been training. We're all rolled up for it, everyone's in the best shape they can be. So we're very ready now for the now.
The semi-final against Castlehaven, looking at the score here, 3-13 to 2-15. On paper, looks like an epic. What was the game like itself?
Very tight, very tight. You didn't know, I thought we were going to lose in the last 15 minutes. I thought we had lost, we were down 4 points, but geez, we had some crowd at it as well, the crowd were rolling on, it boosts you a big bit as well, yeah.
Was that just a sort of test that you needed going into a final against Ibane?
I think it would be a good test, yeah, it was a good test, sure we were off how long the last game was in February, and to come back to play that kind of a game then was a huge test, and sure, we came out on top, but that will stand to us, I think, coming to the final now in 2 weeks.
Thoughts on the final itself? Familiar foes, played them in last year's final one, they'll obviously be up for this time as well. What are your thoughts?
I think just over even last year, we just won well in the first half, was kind of how the game went. This year they're flying in at the moment, so they'll be very royal up for this, they'll come out and attack us, sure we can see what will happen, but we're all ready for it as well,
Good stuff, Paddy. And before we finish up, fill us in on the strengths of this Bantry under-21 team. A couple of lads obviously in with the intermediates as well. So talk us through the kind of some of the players involved with intermediates and so on.
There'll be a good shot of us involved with the intermediates, 7 or 8 of us. Sure, that's the only way to do it really. To be training all year, so you need to be training, you want to stick at it. And sure, once you're training with the intermediate, you're only going to get better anyway, because high standards, like you have to have high standards. Sure, you'll just bring that into your under 21 then. And sure, it's good to try and have a few of the young lads too, minors and stuff, getting involved, like that's what you need. Like. So it's a good help to be training of all your intermediates. It's good involvement.
Fantastic, Paddy. Best of luck.
Thanks very much.
Joined now by Tomás Ó Buachalla, Ibane Gaels. Big game coming up this weekend against Bantry Blues. Talk to me about your thoughts heading into what's it like the week leading into a West Cork final?
Well, I suppose it's all about preparation, really. It's all about eating right and making sure you've sleep right in the schedule and not overdoing yourself with work and all that stuff.
Obviously, the West Cork final is in the summer compared to previous years. It's been kind of earlier in the year. What do you make of playing this competition in the summer? Do you think it's something that we should look at going forward?
Yeah, it's definitely tough playing in the winter now with the wet fields and the mud and all that, but sure, it's hard to get away from the adult championship and all that stuff, like, you know.
We'd be expecting a big crowd for Ilen against Bantry. Obviously, it's a repeat of last year's final. It didn't go too well. Bantry won. What are your own thoughts looking forward to this game? Expecting a really tight battle?
Yeah, it'll be tight, right. So, Bantry are a very good team, like, obviously. They beat a very good Castlehaven side, and we're very aware of that. Yeah, last year they beat us well, so we don't know what to expect really.
But you've been thereabouts the last couple of years. You've won a couple of under-21s yourself. Do you think that will stand to you in this game?
Yeah, I suppose it will, right. Yeah, well, look, it's tough. We've lost two finals in a row now, so it's hard. I don't lose the third, like, but I'll do my best.
Looking forward to this game. So you mentioned Bantry Blues with Castlehaven. You beat them in loss in the semi-final recently as well. Fill me in that game. Yeah,
it was a tight game. Skib, they're good. Like, they've loaded good young players. They had some very big lads around the middle. It was a physical game, but in the end, I think we just had a few stuff went our way and a few shots went over the bar. So that was it, I'd say.
Do you think a game like that will stand to you, like kind of getting that dirty petrol out of the system and dusted off the cobwebs?
Yeah, I'd say so, definitely. Yeah, well, it's good, like, because we've only played 2 games to get here. Like, we beat Clann and we beat Ilen, so we haven't really played together much, the team, like. So it's good, definitely stand to us in tough games like that.
And you have an older brother on the team. What's that like?
It's his grand, I suppose. I try and stay out of his way, and he tries to stay out of mine. But
and just a quick word of Donegal, obviously, you passed away quite recently. Kind of meant an awful lot there, but involved in the club and the team.
Yeah, there's a hole in the pitch, right? You know, you'd feel it. You'd feel it when you go down to the pitch. There's a person missing down there. A car that would always be there watching you when you're at the pitch, walking or playing football, but it's just sad enough. But
nice words, Tomás. Clear, best of luck.
So, thanks a million.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Kieran, it's the week of West Cork final. Talk me through your thoughts leading up to the big game on Saturday night.
Well, I suppose, look, there's a bit of excitement. There's a West Cork final is always great to get to in any grade, and look, there's great to get to with this under 21 team. They've won different things as under 12, under 14, 16, 18, and it's just nice to get to another final and have another crack off winning another championship in West Cork.
Well, obviously, the under-21 championships have been really fragmented this year, but going back to February, you didn't have any game. You got to break through to the semi-final, so you've been waiting an awful long time to actually play in this championship. And when you did, then you beat Bandon 2-8 to 7 just a couple of weeks ago. So talk to me about what the championship has been like for you so far.
Well, look, we started our preparation just after Christmas, and we had 2 or 3 challenge games, getting ready for games. The next thing was all stopped, so we actually played no game, as you said. But look, we just regrouped when the lads went back playing with their clubs, and when we knew the date was coming again, we just got together a couple of nights. We didn't do a huge amount because we just couldn't get in with the junior championships going on, but everybody turned up when we asked them to, and they've put in a great effort. And look, they played off against Bandon, they played well. Things seemed to go well for us on the day, and look, we got the victory, and we were just happy to win by any margin on the day.
What were the big positives you took from the win against Bandon?
I suppose our work rate was very good. Jeez, we worked very hard. We turned over Bandon a good few times. I don't know how many, but we definitely turned them over, I'd say, multiple of 8, 9, 10 times. Like, in vital areas and at vital times, and that was very pleasing. We walked the ball down and got scores then at vital times. We had to defend well as well, because look, Brendan had good players and we had to mind them, but in fairness, our big players turned up in the day, and you can't ask for any more than that.
How important was it to get a game in before the final?
Oh, vital. Jeez, look, because Colums are very strong. I believe Colums have 5-6 players that have all played for Cork at different age groups in the last couple of years. So look, they have great experience and great pedigree, I suppose. So look, we're just trying to go out there in the day, and if we play well and everybody does their best, we'll see where we are at the end of the final whistle.
What would it mean for Ibane Gaels to win the West Cork title?
Oh, there's look to be worth a lot to us, because we're two small clubs just trying to battle away with the bigger clubs, I suppose, is all they're trying to do. And numbers are tight. We've just, I think it's two or three players up to the age. So look, the rest of them are from that down to under 17. So that's what we have to make up our team of. But look, they all turn up, they all put their shoulder to the wheel, and to be absolutely brilliant for the two clubs if we could pull it off in the day.
Is that always important for Ahán to get the West Cork final, because it shows those lads what is possible?
Yeah, look, I suppose with both clubs they've done a lot, and I suppose Dohenys have been going reasonably well last year in hurling and football. Ballineen likewise got to the semi-final of the football as well. So look, they're not I suppose afraid of getting to finals, or not used to being to finals, but it's good for the younger lads that haven't been in those games. There's only a couple of the older lads involved, so it's good for the younger lads to see what it's like, and to be playing with the lads that are a bit older and playing in the junior team and the adult teams, and to see what it's like to get to the final. And look, it'd be great to win it, but you have to see in the day and do your best and see how it turns out.
Fantastic, Kieran. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
We're chatting to Colm Cronin, extended in for Columns manager Michael O'Connell. UGM put up the club, West Cork U21 beat football final. Always great to be West Cork final.
Yeah, it is, of course. To get to a final is a huge thing, and hopefully on Saturday evening maybe carry through and go on and win the thing, because we haven't won a B final since '94, and out of that, I said it sustained our club and our team, brought us from Junior B onto Junior A, and spent 5 or 6 years contesting the Junior A championship, and it was on the backbone of that under 21 championship win. So looking forward to it greatly for next Saturday.
We feel to the one finals this weekend. It's a really special weekend for West Cork, but these are really important competitions as well.
Oh, absolutely. Any club will tell you the drop off, between minor and under 21 is huge. We have a good few minors on that team on Saturday evening, and I think to be able to integrate them with 21-year-olds and 20 down, it's a great thing. It's a bonding thing, and it's bringing them fellas and giving them a platform as well to perform on. So yeah, it's fierce important these under 21 competitions, because we need to keep fellas playing, and enjoying it. Definitely, and the further on it goes, the more enjoyment you get out of it.
Very great for their club, giving young players the platform. Like Colums, you've had a couple of players trying to play with Cork in recent years, very good, and you see there. So it's important to give these young players the chance to play on the stage like this in West Cork final. They can see what it's all about.
Yeah, I think maybe for a few years there, maybe playing the competition in bad weather and things like that didn't suit, and playing it at the tail end of the year when other competitions were over. I don't think that suited at all. I grew up watching A competitions all over West Cork, and then under 21 games were huge games, and a lot of Cork players came out of those. We can say Bantry, Skib, Bantry, Bandon, Dohenys, things like that were huge, Castlehaven. So I think it's fierce important that these fellas get a chance at that level, because that's their, they'll have plenty of time for playing junior football. They'll be all their life playing junior football, but they need to play under 21, I think, and those competitions are vitally important for that.
Sometimes I suppose when fellas are so young, they don't appreciate when they're that young how important football is, because when it's gone.
Yeah, we're all kind of, we talk about underage, but even under 21 is still a grade. Once you pass that age limit, it's done and dusted, and then there's nowhere else, only adulthood as such, and you have to man up to the situation there. So look, maybe fellas don't realise it at the time, but it's a great time to be playing football, because you get some great footballers, from 18 to 21. You also going to get there's a lot of youth in a team, and then there's that bit of experience. Some fellas 21 might have 3 years junior played, and they'd feel like the father figures and things. So it's a great time to bond as well, without going out to where you might fellas in their mid-20s or early 30s playing with them.
You kind of mentioned there earlier as well about kind of the fellas going out to juniors. I've seen with this group as well, kind of some of the 21s already making their impact with the juniors.
Oh, without a doubt, I suppose, case in point, we'd have 8 of this under 21 team would be on our junior team. So like we have fellas going, and our captain there, Garrod, is case in point. If he plays the championship games as they have lined out, he will play 7 in a challenge game. So he's going 8 weekends in a row, just to play the championship games that he has for this season. So yeah, we're dependent on these guys. These guys are out on Saturday night against Mary's in the Junior Football Championship, and the following Saturday night we're playing them in Ibane Gaels. So they're week on week hurling and football. It's non-stop.
Question: what do you mean for Colums to win the West Cork title?
Yeah, as I said to you, in '94 when they won it, it was the catalyst for providing us with maybe 10 great years in winning the County Junior B and going on to contest 3 West Cork finals in Junior A at a time when Ilen and Carbery and then were the kingpins in West Cork and Cora. Like, we competed with all of them with the 3 finals. So, we'd be looking for something like that out of this team. We'd be very hopeful that if we could win on Sunday, it would give us the catalyst going forward. And thank you very much, Mary.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Gentlemen, Timmy McCarthy, the Ilen Rovers manager, big game coming up this weekend, West Cork under-21C football final. What's it like the week of the county final, or the week of the West Cork final, sorry?
Yeah, it's always a great occasion. Really, really good buzz around the place. Trying to get lads kind of a mix between up for it enough and to keep them calm, just another game. But yeah, really exciting, really good occasion for the club in general. But yeah.
For Ilen Rovers to be back in the West Cork final, what's that like?
Good, yeah. It's probably been a while. Again, that's where we always want to be. We start off the year, that's our goal. So luckily enough, we got there this year. But yeah, very good.
Talk to you about the journey, right? Like, it's the same with a lot of teams in the final. It's very fragmented. First game was way back in the start of February. Beat Rangers 6-17 to 1-7, and then obviously that huge gap
we played Gabriel's, yeah, as well.
So you've actually had a huge gap since your semi-final. So you've been waiting 7 months for this game.
Yeah, really strange year. Kind of, I suppose, hard to get momentum going. We started off as a group, and then I suppose the guys that are eligible to play minor kind of played at the minors, the older lads playing with our intermediates and juniors. So to get them together as a group with all the other teams going on is very difficult. We're trying to get back together now. We're getting a group back together, so it's good. But yeah, it's really fragmented, really disruptive kind of for the year. But that's what we were dealt with the weather, unfortunately.
From a management point of view, how do you deal with such a big break between games?
Not very well, or it's very difficult. Yeah. So again, I suppose we're lucky in the sense that most of the lads are captured under either minor or under the intermediate bucket. So fitness-wise, skills-wise, that's all kind of captured by either one of those two. But then again, like, a lot of these lads probably don't get the opportunity to play together. The older lads and the younger lads don't get the opportunity. So the last couple of weeks we're trying to get together, trying to, I suppose, just get some sort of a game plan and get some sort of an understanding of what we should be doing. Especially, I suppose, you've the added complication of new rules and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's kind of complicated, but we're trying our best.
Just on the rules, what have you made of them?
Brilliant, yeah, absolutely brilliant. For the most part, even playing, watching, it's been absolutely outstanding, I think anyway. Football, maybe over the last 4 or 5 years beforehand, had a reputation of not being great to watch. I would probably agree with that for the most time, but I think this year has been really a revelation. Both club, inter-county, Kerry were outstanding to watch all year. Yeah, I think it's been a great addition to the game.
Talk to me about this Ireland team, the makeup of it, this strength.
Yeah, so we're very lucky. We have a group of players that are very, very skillful. Really skillful, really hard working. We're made up of, we don't have a lot of lads up to the age, but the lads that are up to the age are good, strong players. But as I said, we we have a lot of guys that are kind of captured under the minor bucket as well, so that's good. But yeah.
But even let's say like the intermediate team obviously had a super win a couple of weeks ago, very important for the club. For Ilen now to be in a West Cork final, it's just that feel good factor, but it's just what the club needs.
Absolutely, like that. The win against Borbury was a massive boost. It was a boost to the club. You see it, even the change in trainings in the group all going well, have been really good. The minors have been going very well. So the buzz around the place in trainings, games, everything that's going on at the club has been really good this year. And then this under 21 is kind of the icing on the cake so far. So it's been a great addition.
Good stuff. Are you talking about your own your own step into management? I was talking before the players when you were in the first team. Could you talk about how you got involved in management?
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of managing teams. I think since 2020 I managed minors. I think this is my second stint with the under 21s, and I was involved as a selector with the senior when we were senior. Yeah, I just kind of always like to help out. I suppose I moved back to West Cork during COVID. I went back playing. I wanted to get involved, something to do. Started off managing that minor team. We went on to win at West Cork, and I just loved it. Really enjoyed helping out. Gets me out of the house as well, so it's good. Yeah, just really enjoyed it.
Okay, so best look at the final.
Thanks a million. Thanks, Kieran.
Kieran, huge game for Clonakilty this Sunday. West Cork under 21 C football final against Ilen Rovers. Fill me in your thoughts ahead of the game.
Yeah, look, it's a massive game for the club. Haven't been in the final now in a couple of years. We won it there in 23, but look, it's nice to get back to it, and we'll give it a good rattle in it.
It's always special to be in the West Cork final, isn't it?
Yeah, it is huge. There's a good buzz around the club now, and look, everyone's going to be looking forward to the under 21 all year. That we're hoping that we get there, and that it's here now. There's a bit of sigh of relief, and kick on now is the next thing.
An interesting journey. If we look at your first game, 8th February, we went to Vara in the quarter final, 8-14 to 4-8. You had to wait 6 months to beat Kilbritton in the semi final. How did you bridge that game?
Yeah, look, it was tough. It was nearly a different panel from what we had at start here till now. We'll have one or two coming back, one or two injuries as well and stuff. And it was tough to keep lads interested really and stuff. Had a good few playing junior, a good few playing minor, but look, there's the gap in the middle too where lads aren't playing, and yeah, keep them all interested was the main thing. But look, we're there now and everyone's back and everyone's fit and ready to go for Sunday.
It was only a couple of weeks ago. You played Kilbritton and beat them this semi-final. How much of that game stand to you going into the final on Sunday? Yeah,
till stand to due to us really. It was right. Football mightn't have been the best, but it was a huge dogfight, and look, probably a good game to have before going to a final, because the lads know what it needs to win now come championship football for 21. And yeah, look, fair play to Kilbritton, they put up a massive fight, but we just about edged them.
Fill us in the strengths of this Clonakilty team.
We have a good bit of experience really. The core team really won it back in 23. Kind of 4 lads on the edge and 2 or 3 younger. And look, they know what it takes to win. They have the younger lads coming up that give a bit of energy and stuff to the team and a bit of fresh mindset to it. And yeah, there's a good balance of both really.
Who are some of the names we should look out for?
Well, Captain Paddy McCarthy, I suppose, Hugh Donovan, Will Donovan coming up there, and Niall Keating. They're 2 massive additions now to this year's squad. William Doyle, who hopefully might play some part on Sunday, even though he's out all year with injury, and Brian Driscoll too. All 4 of them massive additions. They really brought competition into the panel really.
And just finally, Kieran, just get your thoughts on, we're playing West Cork under 21 finals in August. I know the events are starting a bit darker, but compare that back in February, wet pitches, dark nights. Is it something you think that could be looked at going forward, like to kind of just move into the 21 football maybe into the summer again, if the schedule allows?
Yeah, I think to suit everyone to back in August really. Even though the gap is now with the junior championship, there's grand too. Give them first game and then give them a break. But yeah, playing February open against Doris was a horrible old game. Dirty and wet down Ballyhob. It wasn't a nice game at all.
It started there for England already Sunday.
Hopefully.
The very best of luck.
And thanks, Kieran.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
So it is that time of the week again, Kieran, where we look at what's in this Thursday's Southern Star Sports section. So what should our readers expect this week?
This is a packed Southern Star Sport. Like you know yourself, Matthew, we've been pretty busy in Star Sport HQ this week. It's a 28-pager, so it's a bumper edition, and there's 22 pages of GAs. So if you want to catch up on all the weekend GA action, or even look forward to what's coming up this weekend, obviously check out this Thursday's Southern Star. So we obviously, earlier in the podcast, we chatted about a lot of the kind of the county senior football championship, but it's a busy weekend in ladies football and in camogie as well. So we've all the reaction from the first ever county senior football championship ladies football derby between O'Donovan Rossa and Castlehaven that was played in Skibbereen on Sunday. That was a big win for O'Donovan Rossa and came back from 2 points down to win by 6. And also we've a roundup of all the West Cork teams in LGFA County Championship action last weekend. And switching to camogie for a second, the camogie's up and running. Obviously, we know that Carbery, they'll be in action again quite soon. But it was a big weekend for Newcestown. They played their first game down at Premier Intermediate level and did a good win against Watergrass Hill. And I caught up with their manager, John Wilson, for a chat this week. And also for Ballinascarthy, County Premier Junior Champions last year. They're up at Intermediate this year. And they also won their first game, a really encouraging win against Douglas. So we've news of all that. Also, we have previews of all those 3 under-21 football finals where we heard from the various captains and personnel recently. On top of that, Inya Breen, she's putting West Cork rugby on the map. The Castletownshend woman scored a try with her first touch when she came on in the Women's Rugby World Cup win against Japan last weekend. So Matthew spoke with one of her underage coaches with Bantry Blues Rugby Club just to kind of find out a small bit more about the biggest female rugby star in West Cork sport right now. On top of that, Robert Cronin in motorsport had a really exciting weekend over in Brands Hatch. The West Cork League is starting to kind of shake off the cobwebs after its summer rest, and with a lot of cup games over the weekend. So we've news on those. We also have a 2-page special in a recent Munster LGFA under 12 blitz that was held in Carbery, and I think there was 12 or 13 or 14 clubs are represented there. So that's worth checking out. And on top of that, we've all the news from the Mid Cork Junior A Football Championship, which is kind of reaching the business end. And I can't forget the Carbery Junior A Football Championship. We've 3 pages of reports and reaction from a very busy weekend as the various championships start to take shape, moving towards the last round of games. So I'm going to take a breath now, Matthew. But like you can probably guess from that, it's a pretty packed sports section.
Exactly. So, and as well, in this week's Southern Star as well, don't miss your free guide to careers and courses in this week's paper as well. The supplement is featuring vocational courses that lead to quicker employment, doing something you love as a second job, and maybe make it your sole income. What to think about when to study abroad, how AI can be used to help further your career, and practical CV and interview tips. So pick up this week's Southern Star for that and a lot more. And as usual, if you are further afield or can't make it to the shops, you could subscribe to the Southern Star e-paper and get the Southern Star on your laptop, tablet or phone. Just go to www.southernstar.ie/subscribe, enter your details, and you'll get an exact replica of the newspaper for less than €2 per week. As always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, and thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll be back again next week. Until then, take care.